Doug.
Hey, everybody, we are live. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse podcast. And poor Nurse Mark is taking the evening off, so let's all have a moment of silence for him. We love you, Mark. You are absolutely fucking amazing, exactly as you are. And we want you to take the night off and rest. And so we got this. Nurse Mark. Okay, so here we go. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse podcast, where we do bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. And we're here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. So hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. So 2021 is the year of the nurse and midwife. And what we've been doing throughout the year, these past Wednesdays, is we've been highlighting and illuminating cannabis nurses and health professionals in the space, because we are truly in revolutionary times where we're changing how we approach and take care of patients. So we all don't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be a cannabis nurse. I'm just going to enter into this industry. There's usually a compelling story that goes along with that plunge. And so really, what makes someone enter into the cannabis space as a clinician? Well, I'm really excited to introduce you all to Cannabis Nurse Melanie Cross. She's a board certified nurse practitioner. Melanie is the functional plant medicine woman. She's a mom of 2 children, a wife, a friend, and a family nurse practitioner turned functional plant medicine provider who is always up for adventure and laughs. She's definitely on the right show. Melanie spent over 2 decades in conventional medicine in a variety of roles, from intensive care unit to emergency room nurse to nurse practitioner in family medicine and ENT. Through those many years, she realized she was not able to help people in the way they deserved to be helped. Out of that frustration and knowing there was a better way, Crossable Health was born, which helps people go from crappy to happy without some dirty old bandaid, and actually getting at your unique root cause using functional plant medicine and having fun in the process, right? That's what we do. We make learning fun. So Melanie Cross shares her experience of how she became a cannabis nurse and how she uses plant medicine in her practice. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so happy that you're here. It's really, really fun. I love getting to know more nurses, nurse practitioners, clinicians across the country who are, like, as I say, eliminating the box that says you must think outside the box. You know, we're in these revolutionary times, and I feel as cannabis nurses, we're game changers in the space. And so I'm really, really excited for our viewers to get to know you and what brought you to this space and what you're doing in your communities.
Thank you.
I'm going to start number 1. What's your relationship with cannabis? It's a good bottom line one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been a fan, an advocate of cannabis for, I guess maybe since I was 16.
Yep.
And, you know, after working in the conventional model for so long, I was like, there's got to be a better way. People are not getting better. People are getting sicker. I'm definitely not helping them in this process. And, you know, and then I had my own health struggles and my own issues to deal with, and cannabis just made the most sense.
Yeah, it totally does. So you started exploring cannabis when you were 16, and then what happened? Did you just kind of dabble? Like for me, I'll just tell you, I tried it a couple times in my teens. I did it in college every now and then. You know, it was just kind of if you had it, I'd do it. Why not? Because it was fun. But for the most part, you know, I didn't have like a really tight relationship with it. And I truly didn't understand it medically because we never learned about it in school. So I was truly really introduced to cannabis when I got sick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when it came into my life. How about you? When did it start to be more of an active part of your life?
It was probably, I mean, yeah. So like, you know, college and more as like a fun kind of a thing in college. Yeah. And then more on the, let's use this for treatment, kind of what's going on with me. I would say in the last 5 years, you know, after I had kids and felt like, you know, let's add it back into my life, and felt like it was needed. I wasn't sleeping at all.
Right.
I mean, and I was just blaming this on my kids. They were 5 and 7 at the time. It was, a few years ago. And I was like, oh, I have to keep one ear open for my kids all the time. And like the slightest little thing would wake me up. And then I had this horrendous brain fog and no energy. And I just felt like crap. And I didn't even actually know how badly I felt until I felt better. And it's
not the truth.
Yeah. And just like some anxiety and depression had started sneaking in my life, which were definitely kind of newer symptoms or something that I would maybe newer for me to admit.
Right.
And I was like, all right, something's got to give. And this is not, I wasn't going to go the conventional medicine route because I knew what my answer would be if I went that way, because that's where I'd worked for, 2 decades. And became my own client and started figuring out my own root cause of, why I was feeling so awful, and started with cannabis for sleep. And it was a game changer.
Yeah. Getting that restorative sleep is huge. Just makes a huge difference in your anxiety and your depression, how you eat, when you eat, and just think about, when you get restorative sleep, when you're able to be in that space, that's when you're restoring your body. And so if you think about cannabinoids as adaptogens, you have these adaptogens in your body and you're getting a nice restorative sleep, boom, you wake up. I'll just tell you a funny sleep story. So when I had issues with sleep too. And if I'd got anything less than 10 hours, I felt like it was insomnia, but I was still tired all the time. Well, I wasn't getting restorative sleep. So once I was able to figure out how to use cannabis and other health and wellness tools in conjunction, I started sleeping more soundly. And now I'm only sleeping 7 hours, but I feel better and I'm able to track it on the Fitbit watch. So the sleep has actually helped me get more into a regular pattern. And honestly, it's helped to decrease other symptoms that I have normally. How about with you? Would you agree?
Absolutely. Your cortisol levels, your stress hormone levels, they go up if you're stressed. And at nighttime, you need those to go down, and you need your melatonin levels to go up so you can get that restorative sleep. And cannabis plays an enormous part in this. And like with my clients, that's why I find cannabis helps you get better so much quicker, while we're working on that root cause. And, having that restorative sleep sets up for your whole day.
Yes, it truly does. And this leads into functional plant medicine, right? Because we're not only talking about using the plant, but other health and wellness tools and different activities.
Yeah, for sure. And that, like, I kind of married these two passions and love of mine when I kind of going back to when I became my own client and trying to figure out why I was feeling so awful. Like cannabis got me feeling better, got my stress levels down, got me sleeping, got me like feeling like there was some hope. Like I had I don't need to go to a pharmaceutical and some, as you're saying in my intro, like some dirty old Band-Aid.
Oh, I had so many Band-Aids on. They were all very, very dirty.
Like soggy dirty.
They were awful.
Yeah. And
I get it.
Totally. And the functional medicine piece, like getting at the root cause, that takes a while. You got to peel that onion back and peel it back. 2 years for your
because listen, because this is a great story, and I think you're going to appreciate this as a functional integrative health practitioner. So when I got sick, not only did I do every single thing that the doctors told me to do, I'm talking like, taking everything, all the pharmaceuticals, the surgeries, everything, all the specialists. But at the same time, I also did essential oils, aromatherapy, homeopathy, acupuncture, chiropractic care. They hooked me up with physical therapy. I was a mess. And my root issue was my gastrointestinal system, because I took a hit, ended up in the ICU. I got a really bad megacolon, huge bacterial infection. And so that was the root cause of the spiral of everything. And so it didn't matter what I did. I wasn't able to get in those micronutrients to nourish any aspect of my body. You think about it, our gastrointestinal system, or our enteric nervous system from our mouth to our butt, completely communicates with our central nervous system via our endocannabinoid system, right? So the unhealthy gut that root cause contributed to all of my symptoms and the myofascial pain disorder, the autoimmune conditions. It went on and on and on. So I did everything the doctor said. Plus I spent over 20 grand on these other alternative healing modalities that would be classified as integrative functional health tools. Nothing worked until cannabis came into my life. Cannabis unlocked that door to that system, and everything that didn't work started to work again, off of all my pharmaceuticals. And here I am today.
That's fantastic.
Miracle.
Yeah.
It's science. It's science.
It is,
right?
It's what you chose. You chose to make the decision and figure that out. You chose to not accept what someone was giving, the answer somebody was giving you. So, you realize your body's not broken. You just have to, your body wants to be well and stay well. You just got to figure out the pieces that are keeping it from getting that way.
Yes.
So, well done. That's awesome.
I agree. And that's the other thing too. I'm sure you can agree as a clinician, patients will be saying, does this work? Does this work? Does that work? Does this work? And basically what I say is that all works and none of it works. You have to figure out what works for you. And that's what's so incredible. And then to be able to figure out what works for you, how empowering that is to be able to say, I really know my body. I know how to take care of it. I'm paying attention to it. The body keeps score, right? About everything. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we do as clinicians in the space, is what we do as cannabis nurses, is we want you to have that empowerment to figure it out on your own. And it starts with education. So that's why I'm here every Wednesday and every morning, because I want you all to understand that you too can live your best life. Absolutely. So what is functional plant medicine? That's just a new term and a concept. And how is it different than traditional medicine? Well, we know plant medicine is very different than traditional, but functional plant medicine, I like that, how it goes together.
Thank you. And it's a new term because I kind of made it up. So
isn't that the best? Trailblaze that term.
Yeah. So as I was kind of saying, I just combined my two favorite passions for helping people get well and stay well. And the functional piece is at root cause analysis. So as you're talking about, with your gut health, for a lot of people, disease begins in the gut for pretty much everything. And so functional medicine looks at that root cause, looks way upstream, and figures out, what is causing the symptoms you're having that may be in a completely different part of your body. Maybe it's not your gut where you're feeling the symptoms. Maybe, it's your anxiety or your sleep or your depression or pain, like joint pain or, something somewhere else. So functional medicine is provides a map to kind of figure that out. And unfortunately, conventional medicine, traditional medicine, they just don't have that ability to do so. It's not that they're jerks or they don't care or their hands are tied,
Jerks.
And they're not yeah.
You're really not jerks, but you failed me.
Yeah,
I get what you mean. It's they can't help it. It's the system. You're right. Their hands are tied. It sucks. They don't mean to be jerks, but it just is what it is, And
there's always, I'm not anti-traditional.
Oh, I'm not either.
Completely anti-prescriptions and conventional medicine, but doesn't have to always be the first choice.
Exactly.
People need to have options, and they need to know that these options exist. So that's the kind of the functional medicine piece. And then plant medicine, for the most part, is what I'm helping people with is with cannabis. So you get well quickly. You can get your symptoms like for my sleep. I started with a tincture at nighttime, like a 1-to-1 tincture at night, and I was sleeping soundly within a couple days, and I hadn't for 7 years. And I was like, what? I didn't actually wake up one night.
It's so great.
This is odd. So when you combine the two, you get the quick, we can get you feeling better quickly with the plant medicine, and then bring in the functional medicine. Let's do some deep dive into the detective work and fix that root cause.
So what does that deep detective work look like?
When I work with people, I first I do a case review. So we go into your history, your story, your symptoms, where you came from, what you're experiencing now, and where you want to go. And start connecting all those dots of what might be your root cause. You know, like everything in functional medicine and everything in your body is interconnected, and that's what functional medicine looks at. And I always use a kind of a car analogy of the different parts of the car, of different systems of the body, and they all work together. And your car doesn't go anywhere unless you have all the right pieces in place. So,
oh my God, that's awesome. I love that analogy. That's a great one. You know, another really fun one too is the umbrella. So just imagine the umbrella being our body, and all the spokes of the umbrella are different organ systems and immune system, right? And the fabric pieces that connect to the umbrella are the neurotransmitter signaling system. So it shows the interconnectedness. So those are really, really good analogies, because the endocannabinoid system is so abstract, right? It's so, you know, and basically when we don't produce enough of our own internal endogenous cannabinoids, messages don't get where they need to go, right? All of a sudden your brake pads are going, woo, right? And once the brake pads go, forget it. You're like, just slamming on your brakes, and then you're wrecking the rest of your car.
Right. Totally.
Right.
Yep. And so after that's a huge piece of working together with people, is figuring out their story. Like, people just need to tell you what, you know. One thing I've learned over 20 years or more actually of working with patients and working with people is, if you just ask the right questions and you listen, they're going to tell you everything you need to know. Like, I just put the pieces together. So, and then from like that case review and talking with people, then we figure out what the next steps would be, as far as like doing more of the investigative work into the labs and figuring out what's like going on specifically inside your body.
Right. Because you're a nurse practitioner, so you're able to actually order those different types of labs.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's really good. So who or what inspired you to become a cannabis nurse? Like, what's the, what,
you know,
is there a specific person in your life? Is there someone that, you know, that,
I think it kind of goes back to not necessarily maybe the cannabis piece, but like going for what you believe in, and working for what you believe in, and helping people the way you think that that they deserve to be helped and be seen and be heard. So that this person goes back to my dad. So my dad, he died when he was 34 of a heart condition, and he didn't Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. And so I was 7 at the time, and you know, he just like blew it off. Like, you know, he was young, he was healthy for the most part, and didn't, you know, he's like, I feel fine, whatever, I'll deal with that another time. He was a successful entrepreneur, had this business, you know, he's putting his business and his family first, and until actually the very end. So he cardiac arrested one night. My mom found him in the morning lying on the floor, had he gotten up and was like drawing our treehouse plans. Like, up until the very last minute of life, he chose his business and his family over his health. And that, you know, that kind of stayed with me, or that, you know, inspired me wanting to get into healthcare, but that really stayed with me and showed up around when I was starting to have my own health problems. I was putting, you know, I had this really high stress nurse practitioner job, and, you know, had some kind of struggles with my kids at that time. And I'm like, okay, once X happens, then I'm going to like deal with my own stuff.
Right.
You know, I gotta get this all settled over here. Once things settle down with work, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden one day I was like, holy crap. Like, I became my dad. I was like,
so you put yourself last, right? So in other words,
so
once I got all these things checked off my list, then I'll go work out. Right. So kind of like that, like once I got through all this, then I can go sit and meditate, or have that cup of tea, or have lunch. Right. So you just kept going and going, doing and doing.
Just like muscling through, just sucking it up. I was like, I'm tough. I can get it. This isn't that bad. And then I was like, I know how my dad's story ended, and I'm like physically present with my kids, but I'm not emotionally there at all. I'm like on another planet, because I can't, you know, I haven't slept in like 17 days. So it was like that inspired me to then like figure this out. Like I said, I knew like conventional medicine wasn't going to give me my answer. They'd be like, oh, you're,
Right.
it's just part of getting older. You've had kids, maybe check some labs and tell me, oh, great news, you're fine. Everything looks great. So that it was indirectly, I think, from my father and more around the event that led me into cannabis, and just like seizing the opportunity and not waiting for X to happen before you live your life, because you never know.
You never know. That's what I say. That's what I say. Literally, after all I've been through, you can't make this shit up. I have one foot in the grave and another foot on a banana peel. So I need to be really, really careful about what I do, right? That's it. You just never know. You never, ever know.
Mm-hmm.
So do the best with what you can right here, right now, and using cannabis and all of the different tools that support and nourish the endocannabinoid system is a great start. So quick question with you, because you take care of a lot of different patients. Do you have any compelling stories that you want to share with us?
I do. Yeah.
We love storytelling, because it really, people like to hear, how different alternative progressive plant medicine stories have impacted people's life for healing. So, and I know, hearing from you, it would mean a lot to our viewers.
Thank you. Yes. So one in particular, this client, and so I work primarily. I work one-on-one for like a 6-month program with folks, because we're gonna get this at the root cause. So working with this client, going in, they're like, just don't tell me that I'm gonna have to give up this. Don't tell me I'm going to have to do this. Just, I was like, I'm not going to tell you you have to do anything. Like, this is something, if you want to do, you got to do it. And their primary reason for coming to work with me is just mainly was anxiety. This patient had been on SSRIs for over 20 years. As I now know, SSRIs wreak havoc in the gut. And as now everyone knows too, like everything begins in the gut. So,
oh my God.
Working with this patient, and they had tried several different, medications for anxiety and depression, and had kind of just resolved a little bit to the fact of, this is who I am. I'm this person that has anxiety and depression, and this is just how my life is going to be. Until we started working together. And then, we got rid of some of the foods that were causing some sensitivities. We started healing the gut. Some of the things that they had said that they would never give up were dairy, gluten, and gluten, including like in IPAs. They're like, I'm never going to stop gluten or dairy, or, don't tell me. And then, a couple months in, they were working with their prescriber too, since I wasn't the prescriber of the SSRI, on gradually decreasing. And a couple months in, they were able to completely get off of their SSRI. I missed the whole cannabis piece. We had added, well, side note, we had added cannabis in early on. To get the help with the anxiety, the depression, the stress. The stress was huge. And
so cannabis bridged the gap from what they weren't getting from traditional medicine. And then you started to slowly come off of the drugs, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. That was a very crucial piece.
That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. But how excited are we that patients can come off medications? I mean, I came off of 18 of them. That's a lot. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Right. I mean, so that's exciting to me, that I don't have to call every month to get prescriptions and wait in line and just deal with bullshit. That's a bottom line.
Yeah. Or dealing with the side effects of the medication that you're taking the first medication for. Like, it's just this vicious cycle. And this is another. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
This is another cool thing with this patient too. They just, lost 20 pounds without even trying.
Whoa.
And this is during COVID time, pandemic time. It was, once a thing with weight loss and how cannabis and how functional plant medicine works with that, you figure out like weight gain is your body's holding on to that as a protection.
Oh yeah.
And and it's not like a calories in, calories out kind of thing. It actually is not that
Right.
simple. You figure out whatever. Oh, sorry.
So maybe so our viewers can get it. So in other words, you hang on to fat because when you're in fight or flight, right, the cortisol that's being produced, fat protects your organs, right? So you think you're gonna build the layer of fat because your body thinks that a freaking big giant saber-toothed tiger's coming after you, right? And in essence, it's really not. So that's when we talk about we need to decrease stress, we need to decrease these cortisol levels, because what happens is our body's in chronic fight or flight, and then our metabolism goes into overdrive, and we lay layers of fat right around our belly to keep all of our organs protected. So stress management for the win.
Totally. Your body doesn't care where the stress comes from.
It doesn't give a shit.
It doesn't give a shit. It reacts the same way. And so cannabis is phenomenal for decreasing that stress, and essentially can help with those cortisol levels. And you get rid of your threats of what's causing you to hold on to that weight. And the weight actually just comes off.
It's amazing. Don't you love that? Yeah. And there's also a big misconception, I'm sure you know, that people get the munchies all the time. I rarely, when I get the munchies, I celebrate, but for the most part, like everyone's different and it depends upon how much you take, but it's a big myth that if you use cannabis, you're going to get the munchies. Right. There's specific ways of using it. So there's a lot of people that get nervous. Actually, one of the nurses that we used to work with, she had a really horrible autoimmune condition, psoriatic arthritis. She was on a ton of pharmaceuticals. And she was almost 300 pounds. And basically with the cannabis plant over the course of 2.5 years, she lost over 150 pounds just by using the plant medicine, getting off of her pharmaceuticals, eating better, exercising, and engaging in all of those activities that we talk about that nourish the endocannabinoid system. So it's really, this plant is so magnificent. And I'm just so happy that, we have more nurses that are stepping up and stepping out and doing this as work. So if someone, I'm a new patient and I'm going to call you up and I'll be like, Melanie, why should I choose functional plant medicine? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say, why shouldn't you?
There you go.
It really is for people that want to figure out why they're feeling like crap. If you're sick of feeling like crap and you want to feel better and stay better, then it really, you have to dig in and you got to figure out why. You got to figure out that why. And you're not going to find it on Google. You're not going to find it. Your best friend can have the exact same symptoms you are, but they're not you, and their unique reason for their symptoms isn't yours. So, exactly. And you're not going to find it, unfortunately, in your non-jerky, conventional, traditional doctors.
Yep. Exactly. This is what we say as clinicians. There's no one more, this is what we say as nurses, cannabis nurses and functional health, plant medicine nurses, is there's no one more important than you, and you need to take your health and your life into your own hands. There's plenty of people that are out there that will support you, but the bottom line is you have to do the work. And truly it's about loving yourself. We're born with one meat suit. One big giant meat suit. That's it, and so I look at it and I'm like, I want to hang around for a little while because I'm feeling good. As I age, and using this plant, I feel more youthful. I'm happier. I have more energy, but my body's getting older. So I can't forget to take care of it. That's really, really important. And it's a lot of times too, it's another thing that happens with patients is they'll start using the plant. And this happens to me as well. Sometimes I feel so good using this plant, my life is great. And then I get lazy on those health and wellness activities. And I'm like, oh, I can skip that walk. I can skip that yoga session. Oh, I'm going to have a little chocolate here or chocolate there, a little extra this. And then, right. So it's about that balance and how this plant works, in a way that's best for all of us. So. For sure.
And it doesn't, like I like to say, getting healthy doesn't have to suck.
Yes.
Plant medicine makes it fun. It's not about deprivation and restriction and can't have this, can't have that. You can have that chocolate, it's about, like you're saying, it's balance, it's alignment. It's doing this in baby steps that can just become your life.
Yeah. My chocolate's infused. I know. See, you make it fun. I infuse my chocolate. I infuse.
So.
Right. It's really, It's awesome. We do make learning fun. We want to have fun. We take this seriously, and we want you all to feel safe being educated and knowing that, you're getting information from clinicians that aren't only clinicians and nurses and educated medical professionals, but we're also patients. So we look through the lens of both, practitioner and patient.
Mm-hmm.
So final question, what do you feel is most important for people to know about when patients are exploring cannabis as an option? So if someone, says, oh, they're new to cannabis and they're a little cannabis naive, what do you think, what would your advice be to them as far as exploring?
You're not alone. Like you're not alone, and you have support. I've had several clients that either they had like a really bad experience in college or something, and they haven't used it since, or are completely cannabis naive and they're freaked out. I mean, you like the media is made, and the stigma around it has made things where it's something to be scared of, and it's not. And there's ways that the experience is opposite of scary. It's fun. Yeah. It's comforting. It's and I think it also is empowering that you can get better with something you choose to do, and something that is going to help you get better and not cause all these other problems too. So there's absolutely ways that I hold my patients' hands as long as they need it to be held.
Oh my God. I love that. Can I tell you, that's one of the things that we have on our website. We will hold your hand until you're ready to let go. How beautiful is that, right? It's right. I wish there was someone like me 7 years ago when I started my journey, because I was nervous. I was scared. I was plagued with stigma. I didn't know what I was doing, and so, we will hold your hand until you're ready to let go. How cool is that, Mm-hmm. And really, and identifying, what you said too was really, really important about how, the plant brought you hope. And that's what we need to bring our patients. We're decreasing the stigma around what it means to feel good, what it means to be high. And that's why I love that, the H for hope, H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing, high. Come get high with us means, we want you to have the hope and, be in spirit, be inspired to do something different so you can grow and heal and live your best life. Healing isn't the absence of illness or disease. It's doing the best you can with what you have right here, right now. So Cross Health. All right, let's talk about Cross Health and where everyone can find you.
Thank you. It's Crossable Health. So
Crossable.
Because we're crossing that path, man. It's like, it's going to be easy. Like, come along with me. So you can find me on Instagram is where I hang out most. My handle is Crossable Health. And then I also on Facebook, I have Crossable Health, and my personal page is just my name right there, Melanie Cross. And then my website as well is crossablehealth.com.
Yep. And we have all of that written right below in there. So make sure you go visit Melanie Cross and everything that she's doing in the space. Really, really grateful that you came on tonight. Thank you for everything that you do. We're going to share this far and wide. And anything else you'd like to say to our viewers?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This has been really fun, and thank you for everything you're doing and inspiring the hope. And I love all this. One thing too is that I can't even say if it's really hot off the press because it's still, I think, on the press. But I have I'm starting a wellness group in May, early May. So it's going to be for those who identify as female. I'm going to probably cap it at five people. It's going to be a semi-private group where we're going to, for 12 weeks, dig in and it'll include your lab testing if you want, and then cannabis education. And we're gonna, come out of COVID. Like, who's ready to
yes, who's ready to live their best life? That's what, right? Who's ready? So listen, this is what you need. I want you to give me all that information so we can share it across our platform, because what's going to happen is you're going to sell out right away, and then you're going to have to create another one. So we want, this is really important stuff for people to do. This is it. Take care of you. You are number one. There's no one more important than you. We love you all. This is why we do what we do. Melanie, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, everyone, what it's all about. It's about living your best life.
Thank you so much. You're awesome too.
Smile. I guess trying to stop this. Hold on.